Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Joy Reid Show. As you can see, I'm in a very different location. I'm in New Orleans, everybody. Came down here for Essence Fest. But as you can see, I'm not at Essence Fest. There's a whole story behind that. We were at Essence Fest today. We did a bunch of great content from there. That content we will post to the channel so that you can see all the fun doings. I did a talk back at the brand new Essence. They have a new podcast row. So we did something with Rashad Robinson and also with the trade representative, the Minister of Trade from South Africa. Then also did a thing on stage live with Tiffany Cross and Brittany Packnett Cunningham. All of that streamed live today. So if you are watching the Essence live stream, you probably saw it already, but we'll put all that together and you'll get to see that tomorrow. So we will let you do that. We are heading into 4th of July weekend, which, as I mentioned at Essence, for us, for the Black community, it's really Essence weekend. Like, that's how we think of it. But we want to big up everybody who is here in the chats, who is joining us on this Essence July 4 weekend. Big up to everybody who's on YouTube, who's on Substack, who's on Twitch. Hello, Twitchies. Who's on, where else? LinkedIn, our LinkedIn friends. Wherever you're listening, we just appreciate y'all spending your Friday with us because there's a lots of things you could be doing right now. We appreciate that you're here. So yes, Free Willy Media. That's where I am. I am in New Orleans. You can see we're at the hotel, taking advantage of the internet, and that's where we are. So we will get into a little bit more of that later on in the show. And I want to start out by letting you guys know that even while we are on the road, we are always so happy to have our amazing sponsors. So I want you to listen just for a moment to our first one because this show, The Joy Reid Show, is brought to you by our friends at Remy.
Joy Reid Show is brought to you by our friends at Remy. Now, of course, you know, my smile is part of my business, and clenching my teeth, it is just a thing for me, particularly once I got in the Invisalign game. It's a teeth clenching thing, and that can literally cause jaw strain. It can even cause a headache. And so solving this issue without having to constantly run to the dentist is actually primo. And that is why I trust Remy, along with 350,000 fellow Americans. Remy Night Guards are the only FDA cleared and clinically tested at-home impression kit night guards on the market. Not only do they help prevent teeth damage from grinding, they also help reduce jaw tension and facial muscle strain, and they improve your sleep quality. How does it work? Well, you will get the same professional quality and comfort as a night guard from the dentist for 80% less of the cost by taking your own impressions from the comfort of your home. Remy saves your impressions so you can enjoy the convenience and savings of Remy Club, where they will ship a new top and bottom night guard to you every 6 months. After purchase, your impression kit comes straight to your door. You follow Remy's step-by-step instructions to get your perfect impression. Remy crafts and ships your custom-fit night guard, and boom, you get your night guard back and you start protecting your teeth. It's so easy. It's so simple. Anyone can do it. And the beautiful thing about it is you're actually going to get a better night's sleep, improve your quality of your life, and it also impacts your smile. So just use code JOY to get 55% off your new night guard from now until the end of August with the Remy Club Subscribe and Save. That is 55% off at shopremi.com/joy with code JOY. Thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode.
Yes, indeed. We appreciate all of our sponsors. We recorded those ads before we landed because we just didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, we're in New Orleans. All things can happen. So I just saw that one of our members of our chat is celebrating their 50th birthday at Essence Fest and came here, saw lots of celebs. Keke Palmer was there today. They did like a live Keke Palmer thing. Like, yeah, it's actually like a vibe. But before we get to that vibe, we should recall that it is not just a time when those who are in the African American community, Black folks, are down here having the best time in the best city, New Orleans, and having a lovely time. There are other people. The MAGA people are also, it's July 4th for them too. And to celebrate the 4th and the 250th birthday of the country, MAGA decided that they were going to have a Great American State Fair. They strung that up on the busted Capitol grounds, which had been, pretty much physically destroyed by Donald Trump. You've got the green soup filled, sort of ugly reflecting pool, which he's destroyed, which is now covered with tarps and surrounded by like barriers so that you can't touch the water, which is apparently illegal. You've got the Kennedy Center, which is also covered with a tarp because Donald Trump is sad that his name got taken off because the judge was like, you can't just add your name to the Kennedy Center. The Capitol grounds themselves, apparently the grass is all brown where they built that cage for Donald Trump to have a cage match like he's like Nero or Caligula. So that's all destroyed. Of course, he destroyed the White House physically itself. The East Wing is destroyed. The Jackie O Garden's been paved over, so it looks like a cheap Marriott. It's like sad, nothing against Marriott, but the bad ones, you know how it is. So it's bad. The Capitol looks terrible. I mean, there was a real piece that I think it was in the Atlantic recently that talks about how physically ugly the Capitol is looking right now. But they still were like, even though we've destroyed DC and it looks really hideous, let's go ahead and throw our Great American State Fair. So Jason, if you wouldn't mind, show us a little clip of this is as of yesterday, how that is going.
We made it.
We made
Here
it.
we are.
The Great American State Fair.
Yes, you may.
So this just in from Peter McMahon, big fan. He said the sports team, meaning our team, should check out the foul that Messi committed in an earlier game. It was almost exactly the same, and he didn't even get a yellow card.
Wow.
It was
You were just over in the medical tent being treated. Tell us about how you're feeling.
Now I'm fine, but previously, none of these booths have air conditioning. We don't know what happened, but I started seeing stars.
Oh, really?
And we went to the tent. There's a religious tent because that's the theme for today.
Yeah.
And they had a pool. They're baptizing people. But thank God they had the pool. They said, do you want to get in? I go, yes, I think I do.
I think.
What do you think of all of this?
Not much. I've been to state fairs all throughout the United States. This is terrible.
And how so?
It's a program-length advertisement for the president.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. I've never seen anything like this before, for sure, in my 27 years of living in Virginia and living near the DC area.
And does anything jump out at you?
No, nothing.
There's no cows, there's no sheep, there's no goats. It's not a state fair without animals.
There's a butter cow, I'm told, at least in the Iowa booth, maybe.
It'll melt by tomorrow.
I'm totally underwhelmed. It's part political. That arch over there is, I think, promoting one of Trump's vanity projects. I compare this to the Smithsonian Folklife Festival that they do every year, which is wonderful. Really, talks about different cultures and countries. This is so bland, but I had to come down and see it.
The multiple stages at the event were largely empty.
News
I'm going to check
channel.
out the fair. You have a good day, all right?
All right, we'll see you
back
soon. Here's Harris.
So at least Flo Rida did show up in the end, and he sang some things that I'm sure most of the crowd had no idea who Flo Rida is, but he did show up eventually. Yeah. Let's see the contrast. Jason, if you could please play Essence Arrivals here in NOLA. Yeah, it's considerably more people. it's considerably more people. There was also here at Essence lots and lots and lots of fashion. Jason, if you could please play Essence Fashion. Essence Fabulous. It's pretty amazing. Like everyone is showing up like in the coolest fits. Everybody looks amazing. Lots and lots and lots of people hanging out and showing off just some incredible looks. Very cute. Fabulous, fabulous. Everybody was like really dressed to the nines. It was pretty cool. Lots and lots and lots of people showing their New Orleans style. Let's just do one more. Let's just show one. This is Essence 2 NOLA style, Jason, if you want. And we can. And so there you see some of the fits that look a lot like, Mardi Gras. So of course you got to have a Mardi Gras theme. It was pretty dope. We were on the main stage. That's one of the stages that we were on earlier today. That the Global Black Economic Forum has their own stage. They're also the ones who have the podcast fest. And Jason, if you could show Essence Fest Joy, I got to show that this is photo or it didn't happen. Photo or it didn't happen. And I will tell you that I too had a fabulous idea for an outfit, but like a bottle of like tint, you have like tinted moisturizer, it spilled in my bag. so we're making do with what we have to do. But yeah, it was really great. I mean, so far Essence Fest is fabulous. Michelle Obama apparently will be making an appearance tonight at the big concert. Cardi B, like all the stars are here. As I said, Keke Palmer. And so it's just a very different vibe. It's kind of the opposite vibe. It's a vibe of fun. It's a vibe of community. It's a vibe of family. We had a terrific time. We will post the footage of the events that we did earlier today, just so that you guys can see kind of what we've been doing here. But I will say kudos to the Global Black Economic Forum and to Essence Fest. This is like, how many years have they been doing this? I couldn't even tell you. Maybe it's their 50th year or something. It's been for maybe not 50 years, but it's been for a very long time. So it's been fun. But this morning, did they have a butter cow? That's a good question. An excellent question from Intolerably Me. Did they ever? I don't know. I plan when I get back to the DMV to go and personally check out the state fair. I'm just curious. And it won't be any problem getting in. There are barriers all around it, by the way, but you have to get through the barriers to see the no people. The no people are behind barriers. High barriers.
Joy,
Yeah.
you'll be going to the state fair by yourself. I will not be traveling with you to that event. You won't catch anybody taking any pictures of me at that event. Enjoy yourself as you're in New Orleans. Make sure you get, have a good time, eat. But if you come home with, we're going to the thing, I'm going to tell you straight now while everybody's listening, I will not appear with you. Okay?
What if I bring a butter cow?
You can have that by yourself also. I will not be there. Alfonso is in the green room, just to let you know. Okay?
But you're saying you wouldn't even want to see a butter cow.
I don't want a person to even I don't even want the stench of that stinking fair anywhere near me. No, thank you. Somebody take a picture and blackmail me with that thing. So don't let them get you out there.
Okay.
Or
All
you're
right,
a secret MAGA person. You know what I mean?
Let's go ahead and Jason, I don't understand why you don't want to see a butter cow. And also the amazing state of Maine. They have a poster in their booth as well as 2 chairs. Okay. That's pretty dope. The North Carolina people did have a Confederate flag, but they moved it. So we won't be able to see that. The New Orleans exhibit was like one like face mask, New Orleans-y style face mask, and like a feather or something. I mean, it's really sad, is what I'm saying. It makes you sad. It makes me sad. But I want to say it for myself. If you didn't see it, you didn't happen. Let's bring in Alfonso David. And he is the president and CEO of the Global Black Economic Forum. And the reason that our faces were in the place today.
Alfonso's getting ready. Hang on one second.
Okay. We'll bring him in when he's ready. But I mean,
Okay.
it's Vive la Différence. Here in New Orleans, it's a vibe. There in DC, it's not a vibe, if we can just be honest. And the thing about it that is so sad, y'all, is that there was an organization called America 250, I believe was the name of it, that was formed in 2014 because we all knew that the 250th anniversary of the United States was coming. And whoever was president, they were going to celebrate it. There was going to be a celebration regardless of whether Kamala Harris won or whether Trump won. And so had that organization, which was a completely nonpartisan organization, been able to plan the America 250, you would have probably had a very multicultural, multi-ethnic, sort of celebrations of the indigenous people and Latinos and Black people and jazz and all of the things that make America America, Hollywood and all the things that make America America. That's what would have happened. But instead, Donald Trump took it over and created something called Freedom 250. They took over the entire event, took the money as well. We still don't know what they spent the money on because that arch that they made, it's literally stapled together. It's paper stapled over styrofoam, I think. And unfortunately, we don't know where the original budget, and there's some members of Congress who are demanding to know what happened to the budget. But all we know is that this really cheapo event was put in place of what would have been a very large nonpartisan event. And meanwhile, it's not that no Americans can afford or are willing to travel for big events. Lots of people are here in New Orleans, despite the economic challenges, despite the fact that this state is governed by a complete horse's ass who there's a recall petition attempting to get rid of Governor Jeff Landry. He's a terrible governor. He's a terrible human being. But people are still willing to, set that aside and come and feed into and pour into the Black community here in New Orleans and be a part of Essence Fest. People don't have unlimited money, but they are here. So people are willing to target. People were asking about, yes, Target, which I don't know is still a sponsor. I didn't see any Target paraphernalia or anything like that, but people are willing to travel for something they want to do. The rich people who love Trump traveled to DC for his cage match. That was full. It was full of hooting, hollering young white men who came for that. And people paid up to $1 million per ticket in order to sit there and watch a cage match, at the end of which Michelle Obama was called out of her name. So people were willing to do it. People showed up en masse for former President Obama's opening of his presidential library. That was a huge opening. People showed up for that. Again, people don't have unlimited money, but people were willing to spend money to get to Chicago to be a part of it. So I think when there's something people want to do and people care about it, they will show up. But because this event in DC is so partisan, and it's basically a celebration of Donald Trump plus some, maybe a butter cow and essentially all white displays of, even the New Orleans display did not have a presence that I could see in the Fox footage of Black people. This is about New Orleans. New Orleans is, it's 27% African American, and jazz is Black, and the blues are Black, and the culture, the Mardi Gras culture is Black, but you don't see that in these displays. And so what you finally had is MAGA getting exactly what they asked for. They wanted their own celebration that was all about them, that was only for them, that did not include us, did not include Latinos, did not include Indigenous people, did not include Asians. They did not want us, and so we weren't there. And the culture that was left behind is this sort of very sad, tepid culture. You also have Valerie Hussein saying they didn't prepare for the heat either. Well, that is also reminiscent of the way this country was founded. People who wanted to be plantation owners, but didn't realize it was going to be very hot in Mississippi and Louisiana. And they realized, oh crap, we need people who can stand the heat to pick this cotton and pick these crops. And so they were like, bring us the Africans. Yes, Jason.
Joy, our guest is ready if you need to.
All right, let's bring in Alfonso David. He is the president and CEO of the Global Black Economic Forum. Here he is. Hey, Alfonso.
Hey, Joy. How are you?
See.
I know. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you. I'm in the air-conditioned. I was just walking in the streets of New Orleans and I was melting.
It literally, so right now it is so hot in New Orleans. All you have to do is stand outside. You don't have to move and you will start sweating.
You will start sweating. So, thank you first of all for having us at. We did the Joy Reid Show. We were on two different stages, the podcast stage as well as the big main stage. Talk about why we finally seen podcasts come into their own at Essence and how that came together.
Well, I think, Joy, what you are doing is sort of reflective, illustrative, and emblematic of where we are with respect to media and information. Traditional media, people are disconnecting from. People are getting their information and their news from trusted sources. People who have authenticity, people who they can rely on, people who are telling them the truth. That is you. That's what you've been doing for decades. And the fact is, you now have your own platform. You are telling people are not questioning whether or not, maybe you're not giving them the information because someone told you not to, or maybe you're sort of processing the information in a way to appease someone else or a different audience. You're telling them the truth. And so as we're thinking about this new age of podcasting and why it's important, is because I think people appreciate and recognize that you're not reporting to anyone, that your accountability is to yourself. And so in this moment, as we think about podcasting and we think about information sharing, at its core is misinformation and disinformation and accountability in a moment where we are under attack. People of color and Black people are under attack. And we need to make sure that when something happens, when there is a crisis, when there's redistricting, when there's a voting rights decision, we know where to go. We know who's going to tell us what it means and how it affects our lives.
No, absolutely. And the reality is, for those of us who came from traditional media, Don, myself, and Roland, we were being ourselves, but there were always consequences. And as to your point, there's always Big Brother looming over your shoulder. And when you say something they don't like, you hear from them. I don't like this tweet. I don't like this post. I don't like this emphasis. And you're right, that over time, it can make people cautious. And it's not that journalists who work in traditional media are not doing incredible work or not great journalists. There are a lot of amazing journalists at ABC, NBC, CBS, MS, CNN, all of the places. But the reality is everyone, like for instance, I'll give people an example. When, Kristen Welker, or not just Kristen Welker, or anyone gets an interview with Trump, people are always like, why don't they go harder on him? Well, they could, but there could be a consequence. We don't know whether there will, but there could be a consequence. If you go hard at Trump, first of all, he may not come back. And then the question is, does your boss say, why can't we get Republicans? Why can't we get Trump? And that's, it's a challenge, which we don't care. Like here, first of all, I wish Trump would come here and be on the Joy Reid Show. I'd interview him. I would have a ball. Have fun.
I know you would,
I might sell
but
tickets to it.
Joy, I know you would have a ball, but I think it would scare the hell out of them. You're too smart. You're too knowledgeable. You understand history and the importance of history to present day. And that's, I think, one of the major disconnects, right? We're in this moment where people are saying, this is the worst it's ever been. I've never seen anything happen like this before. No, it's happened.
It's happened. It's happened. It's just we didn't have all of the social media and the means to make everybody see it in real time. Most of the time, we know it happened because we went back and looked in history. But I want to talk about Essence Fest for a moment because there are a lot of people who were like, I'm not going to go because Louisiana is terrible, and Jeff Landry is terrible. Like Louisiana is misgoverned. It's governed by a terrible person who may get recalled. We never know. But talk about the challenge of having a super Black, very Black focused, Black love fest in the midst of what Louisiana is doing to its own Black citizens.
Look, I think that as we see what's happening, not only in Louisiana, but in Texas and other parts of the country, where people of color are being suppressed, the last thing we should do is abandon our own people. We need to make sure we're showing up in districts, in communities where it is hard, where we are facing challenges, where voting rights is being suppressed, where healthcare is it's inaccessible, because those are members of our community that need the help the most. And I think there's something else that we should be doing, which is much more subversive, because by showing up in Louisiana, we're telling those that are looking to oppress us that we are not going to stop. We are still here. We're still going to rise. We're not endorsing their policies. We're not endorsing their philosophy, but we can't ignore our own community that is here. And I think that's the message of being here in Louisiana in this moment, at this time, under these circumstances, is making sure that we're representing the spirit, the joy, the tenacity of our communities, not just today, not just tomorrow, but going into the future. It may not get easier. In some cases, I would suggest it's going to get harder. And as it gets harder, we have to make sure that we're standing up and showing up each and every time.
Talk about, as I was walking around the festival, you saw people holding the Black Girl Vitamins tote bags. You saw people, holding, merch that came from small Black-owned companies and growing Black-owned companies. Talk a little bit about, because Global Black Economic Forum, I mean, this is what you're in the business of, is trying to grow the Black economy. How does Essence Fest and GBEF fit into doing that?
So we, in a number of different ways. First, making sure that we are hiring the staff, the companies that are actually supporting our own communities, that are more than qualified, in some cases excessively qualified to do this work. I've been doing this now for more than 4 years. I've been doing civil rights work for more than 25 years. And sometimes we separate social justice and economic justice, and they're one and not the same. If we pass a civil rights law, but we're not actually able to work, or we're not actually able to generate wealth, good luck, right? So for us, it's about making sure we're providing tools and resources to people to make sure that if you're going to start your own business, if you're going to start your own joint venture, you know what to do. And you also understand the minefields. You also understand the obstacles. So we are providing a platform, we're providing tools, we're providing resources. But I think sometimes there is no course, like people, unless you're going to go to business school, we're not really taught about how to realize our dreams through a business lens in high school. We're not really taught about financial literacy in high school. So those are tools that we actually need, not only create our businesses, but survive. And that's at the core of what we're doing. That's at the core of why we put on these panels and why we have activations, so people can get the information and the tools to navigate the landscape.
Let me ask the elephant in the room question. A lot of people stayed away because of Target last year. I know they were in, I think, the 4th year of a 5-year term. Is the Target connection over? Are they invited back? Will they be here ever again? And are they here this year? I didn't see any Target paraphernalia, but are they still here?
I haven't seen any either.
Target's like, hi. If they hear, they're like this. Don't look at us.
So in all seriousness, Target has been supportive of the Essence brand for a long time. Now, I know that many in our community are understandably upset about what they've done, and we have a right to feel that way. But we should also recognize that there's a thing called a contract. And when you enter into it and it lasts for several years and you break that contract, there are consequences, not only financial consequences, but there are other consequences. So Essence had to navigate that landscape, and they're doing that. Target has not been a direct sponsor of the Global Black Economic Forum, but they are a sponsor of Essence. And, Essence is navigating that landscape. And I think we all have a right to decide what feels right for us. There are some people that feel like, you know what, I'm not going to go because I don't feel right. And there are others that can navigate this moment and think that this makes sense for them. And I think we need to make space for both, to make sure that people can be respected in whatever decision they end up making with respect to the festival. But I just have to say this, let's not forget that this festival is the financial framework that so many local businesses rely on. And when it's not here, those businesses in many cases generate millions, thousands of dollars just simply by being here. And so we need this platform. We need this community. If it's not here, if it's not in Louisiana, maybe it's somewhere else. But let's not forget the importance of this platform.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that over the years, what I would love to see Essence and is not Essence. You guys work together. I would love to see Essence go back to the way it was like in 2015, 2016, when it was sort of all over town and it was like very much embedded in the community. You didn't have to be inside of the arena to really experience it. So we would love to see it go back to that. But I will ask you one more question because it's still fabulous. And when I tell y'all there are so many Black-owned businesses inside that arena. I'm pointing to it like it's behind me. It's not. We were just in there, and there's so many, and they have their merch and everything. But tell us what people can look forward to. What are the highlights going over this weekend that people should be expecting here at Essence?
So for at least for us at the Global Black Economic Forum, there are a few things. One, we're doing health screenings. We know, and many people may not be fully aware, that there will be dramatic changes in healthcare access, in eligibility. A lot of people are losing their healthcare simply because they can't afford it. And when they lose healthcare, what happens? Are we then going to rely on the internet when we have a rash or a cough or a cold and something happens and we're like, well, what is that? And we're Googling to find out how we should take care of ourselves. That's really deeply troubling. So what we're doing is providing resources and tools, including healthcare screenings, where you can come and check to see if you have high blood pressure. And it's all free. So I'm very excited about that. Last year, we had more than 800 people that went through healthcare screenings. And I'm saying this because we have 4 or 5 people we have to take to the hospital immediately because they didn't know that they were at risk of having an immediate heart attack. Our community needs to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, but we also need to make sure we have the resources. So I'm excited about making sure we provide those resources. Second, we have Black Voters Matter that's here. We have Onyx Impact. We have EHBCU. We have others. We have Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights that are here to educate people about voting. This year, yes, there's redistricting, but you haven't lost your voice. What can you do? How can you get informed and educated about voting and what it means in this moment to make sure that we don't lose our voice? So I'm extremely excited about that. And then all of the folks that are coming in from, Angela Rye, we just had Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and others that are going to be on the stage providing key useful information for our community. So I'm excited about every single panel. I don't have a favorite child, but I just want to make sure.
Except me.
Well, except you, Joy.
Me.
And Joy, thank you. Thank you for coming today, you were here for hours. You did a podcast upstairs and downstairs, and people will get to see all of the great work that you did today. So thank you.
Thank you. On the way out, I ran into Jasmine Crockett and Justin Pearson and Kimberly Crenshaw, like all at the same time. I think we're all in a picture together. I'm like, this is like the most epic. This is where it's like the Wakanda of Black folks. It's like all the major Black people are here, y'all. It's amazing. Alfonso David, my friend, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. See you later. Yeah, everybody's here, y'all. I'm telling you. You name it. If it's somebody that is major and Black, they are here. Again, apparently including our forever first lady, who allegedly is going to be here later to open up the show. Or to open up the evening festival. So that is what's happening here. And remember, the Global Black Economic Forum, it happens like parallel to Essence. It's part of Essence Fest. It's like a cousin of Essence Fest. It's not strictly just Essence Fest. It's part of it. And so they're in the arena. It's really fabulous. And the booths, the panels, it's just incredible. It's such an amazing event. And so I'm very, very glad we came. We had a good time, Alfonso. They treated us real well. Meanwhile, this morning, well, before I get to that, Jason, before I get to that, because I do want to talk about what happened this morning before we even started our day. But I want to also note one of our other sponsors, because again, we could not do this without our sponsors. They make everything that we do possible. So we truly appreciate them. And Jason, if you could tee it up, our other sponsor that is bringing you the show tonight is our friend Radioactive Media.
Reid Show is brought to you by the audio marketing gurus at Radioactive Media. If you're a business owner or decision maker in marketing and you are still on the sidelines, podcasts should no longer be optional. They are essential to how consumers spend their time, their attention, and their trust. Podcasting is the fastest growing digital media. Now, I bet you didn't know that podcast ad spending is pacing to increase by 33% just this year alone. And podcasts like mine that utilize video are up 97.7%. Podcasting is no longer on the edges of the marketing mix. Research shows that more than half of Americans now listen to podcasts, at least monthly, listening close to an hour a day. Podcast audiences don't just tune in, they lean in. They form relationship with hosts and they trust what they hear, making podcasting uniquely powerful. So where do you start? Well, my friends at Radioactive Media know how to launch, optimize, and scale powerful podcast campaigns that deliver results. Their deep industry knowledge and personal touch set them apart. Text the word results to 511-511 to find out more. Heck, you might even want to get on board and attract business from my legions of listeners at TJRS and sponsor this show and combine the power of podcast with video. If you're a mid-sized company or a well-funded startup, Radioactive can help. They believe in the power of audio so much, they even use it themselves right here, right now. They'll even show you how to combine the power of your audio and video campaign with text messaging to generate up to 5 times more leads. Go to radioactivemedia.com or text the word results to 511-511. Start planning for fall right now to get the lowest rates in podcast and radio. Radioactive Media can surpass your current strategies with new and innovative ways that sound better. Go to radioactivemedia.com or text results to 511-511. Text results to 511-511 today. Message and data rates may apply.
Thank you. We appreciate our sponsors so much, y'all. But okay, so I got to talk about what happened first thing this morning. So this morning, while I was getting my glam done, getting my hair and makeup done, we were listening to, on the Joy Reid Show channel, because we streamed it, Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York City, who I would argue is he's like the peak mayor right now. There are a lot of mayors that we absolutely love. We love Brandon Johnson from Chicago. We absolutely love the other Brandon Scott from Baltimore. The mayor of Birmingham is amazing. We love our Karen Bass. We think she's fabulous. There's plenty of amazing mayors around the country. But right now, I feel like Zohran Mamdani is having a moment. Like he's having an absolute moment. Because what he's doing is he's delivering. He made promises on the campaign trail, and one by one, he's systematically
told that
delivering.
America is
And so this morning, knowing that Donald Trump is apparently going to give his big 4th of July speech, and I guess he's either doing it today or tomorrow, who knows? I'm going to be forced to listen to it so you don't have to. So don't worry about it. I'll tell you about it whenever it's done. Zohran Mamdani, he did his own speech for the 4th of July, but the way he did it was very interesting. So he does the speech seated at his sort of official desk, and standing around him are a group of immigrants who just became citizens. So it's this group of multicultural, multicolored immigrants. It's like a little crayon box of immigrants, and they were holding American flags, and they're standing around him as he's giving the speech. Now, we played it on the channel this morning. If you want to go back and listen to it, it's only about like 20 minutes. It's actually worth listening to. But let's play a little clip of that speech. Go ahead, Jason.
Told that America is exceptional because we are richer, stronger, more powerful than everyone else. The truth, my friends, is that America is exceptional because here, nothing is fixed into place. The frontier may be closed. We may have walked on the moon. But the work of fulfilling the values first enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, that work endures, and it belongs to us all. It belongs to our newest Americans, those standing here with me today, all of whom were recently naturalized. Nearly a decade ago, I too felt what you feel, the joy of no longer being just a New Yorker, but an American too. You each hold a special power, the power to determine what America means. The powerful have always known their answer. America, in their view, is an arena of supremacy, where only a select few are allowed freedom, where not all are created equal. America, if you ask them, becomes less the more people it welcomes. America, they will tell you, belongs only to those with the right accent or the right shade of skin. The rest of us, they insist, should be grateful for merely being allowed to visit. How small they are, how weak, how unoriginal. At every moment in our past, those who led through exclusion and isolation have tried to win power and enrich themselves by turning us against one another. Division is the oldest trick in politics and the cheapest. But time and again, including 250 years ago, those forces of division have been vanquished by the forces of progress.
So the sort of import of this speech, as some in the chat have noted, is that he chose to do the speech sitting behind a desk that belonged to George Washington. And he says about that desk, he says, as I sit behind George Washington's desk alongside new Americans who came to this country, I cannot see all of America. But like so many who came before, I can see New York City. The city I see today looks very different from the one that greeted George Washington. And the people standing alongside him, really represented those who were added to the vision of the country who did not exist in the original vision. And he walks through that original vision and how the current sort of belief system that has taken over Washington excludes all of these new people who are bringing their own richness and their own vision to the country and adding to the richness of the United States. It was a brilliant speech. It was so well done. Lots of people are definitely calling him the Brown Obama, that he is giving that same kind of sort of hopeful vibe, but not just a hopeful vibe. I think it's different from Obama because President Obama, for those who have sort of studied him and I've, obviously covered him, worked a little bit on his campaign. President Obama is one of those people who, like Mamdani, the background of his family is half of it is immigrants. And his father obviously was an African immigrant. And he kind of sees the world through the lens of the way immigrants used to see America, this sort of very hopeful vision of what the country can be. He's obviously realistic about things like racism and around the pain that's been caused by our history, but he sort of frames it in a way that sort of we can get past it. He sort of has this hopeful vision. Mamdani is that, but he's also got a little bit more of an activist edge to his vision. And he was very blunt today in talking about those who refuse to accept the change that has made America greater, the ethnic change, the addition of other religions and et cetera. So he speaks to it really with a little bit more edge than President Obama does and has. And I think for a younger audience, I think that is more resonant because he is a little more of an activist politician. He's very intentional about never denying that he is a democratic socialist. He doesn't run from it. He doesn't fear being called a socialist. He is, in fact, an African Muslim, which was what people accused Obama of being. He leans into that the same way Ali Velshi does. Ali Velshi is a Kenyan Muslim, it says it very clear. But I like that he does that. He does not run from the democratic socialist history of the Democratic Party, that this is a party whose most powerful ever president, FDR, literally used the federal government to put people to work when unemployment was rampant, who literally said, we're going to create jobs from the federal government. He leans into Fiorello LaGuardia, who's his idol, who he says was the greatest New York mayor. And Fiorello LaGuardia was doing a lot of similar things. He was using the power of government to make sure people could work, to make sure people weren't hungry. Like Fiorello LaGuardia was an activist mayor, and Mamdani is an activist mayor. And some of the people in the chat saying that Mamdani is the socialist they wish Obama was. I think President Obama couldn't have been that. President Obama was the first Black president, and he seemed to carry with him the caution that goes with being a first, wherein he had to be perfect. He had to be perfectly patriotic, perfectly pro-military, perfectly pro, the sort of greatness of America. He had to be perfect. He had to basically, they wanted a smile and wave president, not an activist president. The most activist thing he did was healthcare. And even that he had to pull back. Mamdani's not pulling back. Mamdani says Obama was the floor. Obama, for his generation, he's 35 years old. He said Obama was the floor. He had to sort of do this perfect balancing act where he didn't scare the white people too much. And the moment he did scare them even a little, when he said Trayvon Martin is what my son would have looked like. If I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. That's just a statement of fact. That was too far for the majority of white America, who turned on him hard. When he said, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. That was considered a bridge too far. And that was just the fact. It was just a physical fact. If he and Michelle Obama had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. That's like not a crazy thing to say, but that was considered so offensive and so hideous and so ugly that he literally spent the rest of his first term as president being beaten up for saying that, and for being called a racist and being called divisive. Whereas Mamdani is like, my views on Israel are what they are. If you think that's divisive, that's a you problem, not a me problem. He's like, my views on Palestine are what they are. And if you don't like it, that sounds like a problem that you need to get taken care of, because I'm not changing them. He doesn't pull back at all. You have these Democratic politicians, even a Kamala Harris, a Barack Obama, Black politicians have generally been told to sort of, you can get only so radical before there's a giant pushback from the sort of white establishment and white conservatism. There's very little tolerance for anything that looks like radicalism from Black politicians. That's just a fact of the way that America was built. Whereas Mamdani does not feel weighted down by that at all. And maybe because he's been here since he was 7 years old, but maybe because he's a New Yorker. New Yorkers don't really have their attitude is a little. I mean, Chicago is pretty rough too, but New Yorkers are like, I kind of am what I am, and I kind of gonna do what I do. Let me play you Fox's reaction to this very beautiful speech that Zohran Mamdani gave this morning, and of course Fox melted down. Here was their reaction. If you could play that, Jason.
Kids, and I call them kids because they're in their 20s, and they've never had real jobs, and they're complaining things are expensive. Yes, things are expensive when you don't have a real job.
That's right.
Do you think that's getting traction, complaining?
Unfortunately, I do, because this generation, my generation, I hate to say it, Gen Z and those younger than me have been raised with just silver spoons in their mouth, just getting everything handed to them. That's not the values this country was built on. It was built on meritocracy and hard work, pulling up your sleeves, pulling yourself up from your bootstraps, and achieving the American dream. And we need to protect it with all we got.
Is it laziness?
A little bit.
Is it because the professor said the country's corrupt, it's evil, and we just need to shake them down and hand money out?
It's laziness, and it's the liberal indoctrination.
I say, if they misbehave, just make all these young kids join the army, right? Shape them up. I almost had to.
Send them to Cuba.
First of all, I want to note that they were big. That Fox has stationed all of their anchors on the National Mall for this Great American State Fair, and you notice there wasn't nobody behind them, right? They're still sitting there in an empty National Mall, yapping about how young people are just lazy and we need to send them to Cuba. What send them to Cuba, where the United States is turning off the lights because you're upset that they found a politician who resonates with them, because he's actually not giving them politics, but giving them the hope that politics can actually change their material lives. Calling people communists because they think that billionaires like Jeff Bezos and billionaires like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel should actually pay the same tax rate that nurses pay and teachers pay, that they should, I don't know, maybe help pay for the roads they use, help pay for the bridges they go over, maybe try to help pay for the country that's given them everything, even though, at least in Elon's case, he might not have even been in the country legally and they looked the other way because he was a white South African. Maybe like pay your fair share kind of thing. Come on now. Speaking of the idea of what politics is capable of doing, politics is not about, as I said on the stage today at the Global Black Economic Forum, in essence, it's not about just doing what your auntie and your mama tell you to do. It's actually about power. It's actually about getting and holding power. And there are few people who I think have explained that as coherently as Mamdani and shown how that works. And there are also few people who have shown and explained that as coherently and as brilliantly as my next guest, the great Latasha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter Fund, who is at Essence. I missed you. I think we were passing in the night. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey, I am at Essence. I'm actually in the blackest bus in America at Essence. We're in the middle of the floor. So I know ain't nobody at Trump's fake American birthday party that America don't deserve, as Brittany says. But I will tell you where people are. There are people and there are hundreds of people right now that are actually on their way to go to the Superdome to see First Lady Michelle Obama speak as part of Essence. So I don't know what they're doing, but I will tell you what the blacks are doing. What black folks are doing is we understand this ain't no moment that we're going to, at this moment, that you're going to celebrate a nation that is literally destroying, like literally participating in destroying the lives of their own people or the people that actually built this nation. No. In this moment, what we're doing is we celebrating ourselves. In this moment, we're celebrating the fact that we've been resilient, we've been resistant, that we're celebrating the fact that everything that has been thrown at us, we've continued to thrive, that we are celebrating that in this moment, that of the 250 years, and let's be clear, we've been going through hell with these folks for more than 250 years, that there are more of us, there are more, I think, black folk, white folks, Latino people, indigenous people, AAPI, there are more of us than there are those few people who are actually scared of their own shadow. And part of the reason why they fear, because they know they ain't done right. But at the end of the day, even if we wanted to stop, we can't, because the ancestors won't let us. So yes, we are her children. We're his child, that those folks that 250 years ago, we have not forgotten. We are still in their bloodline, and we are still doing what we need to do. We're still reimagining. We're still working. We're still being resilient, and we're still resisting. And we are building. We're not just resisting. We're radically reimagining the America, the next 250. I think that they this first 250, they ain't asked nobody. This next 250, we clear that y'all can't run that.
It's so true. I mean, Tasha, it's what's so interesting. There was a young man when I was leaving. We were trying to get back to the hotel so we could have the Wi-Fi to try to do the show. And this young man stopped me and he said, "Do you mind if I talk to you?" And I said, "Not a problem at all." And he asked me, he said, he had two questions. One were, how do I get like my age group to care? That was one question. And then he asked, he was like, "I like what you were saying," because I was doing interviews and he was just listening. And he said about that, you talked about the fact that the other side is so angry and it's hard to understand, even when they're winning, they're angry and we're not. And what I said to him on the second point is that's who we are. You know, Black people have been getting the beat down for 400 years in the United States, and we are still resilient, smiling, creating music, creating art. We are going to create joy. Like, we will live in joy even in the worst of times. But in the first question, I kind of was trying to channel you, sister. I was like, it's not really on you all to figure out why you care. It's on us, right? To give you a reason to care. Don't put it on your generation. I said, this is on us. We have to make you care.
That's right. And we have to get people to actually shift the way they see things. I've been talking about this. Part of what we're doing at Essence, we're doing this huge activation, and it's wonderful. We're calling the Black Voters Matter Boulevard. And in our activation, there's one area in there that's called, that is entitled "We Are the Architects." I want people who are listening to recognize in this moment, there's nothing that has ever been created that was not first created because of a vision. People have to have a vision. I want folks to really understand, and I've been talking about this, that slavery as an institution lasts for 200 years, right? But so if you think about you, that person, that sister or that brother at year 100, 101, right? That 100 years before you, that there was this institution of oppression and enslavement of you and your ancestors. And then 100 years, even in the future, right? Somehow they still had the audacity. There's some woman, some sister somewhere and some brother somewhere that had the audacity to say, I might not be able to read or write. I might not have any resources. I might be stuck in this situation for the moment, but you're not going to tell me that I ain't supposed to be free. Right. And you're not going to tell me that my children and my children's children, we've got to be relentless like that. We have to understand that in this moment, as we're going forward in the future, it will be shaped by us. If we get so, and I say that because oftentimes, as you know, Joy, people will talk about their frustration with the process, frustration around people have let them down. I understand. I have felt betrayed, right, by people that I've put in office. I felt betrayed by people that I voted for. I felt disappointed by political parties, all of that. But let me tell you, the one thing that has been consistent is that what I know is that when you are at war, you cannot afford to put any of your tools down on the table, that you've got to use every single tool available to you. And so in this moment, I think there are three things we got to do. We've got to block, We've got to block all of the harmful things that they're trying to do. And one way you do that is you've got to disrupt they're trying to concentrate their power. And part of the reason why many of us have thought that voting doesn't matter, I'm not even upset with people who think that you have been over and over and over again, it's been socialized to make you think that all voting is an act of participation. We so beyond participation. Voting ain't about participation. Voting is about raw power. Part of the reason why all of this has all of these efforts to suppress our vote, and we've been working on this, as you know, Joy, for years, and screaming and telling people what was happening, is because those who are in power to literally be able to, they need to concentrate their power. They're literally trying right now to take power from the media. So there's no independent voices. There's no independent organizations. They're even punishing businesses, and there are no independent voters. The one thing who is best in this moment, those who are not afraid to resist. And that means that those of us who are not afraid to resist, we've got to actually multiply. It ain't good enough right now that your listeners that are looking at this and are saying that I vote every time. I know you do. That's why you stay informed. I'm going to need you to be deputized, and I'm going to need you to shift the way you see. Instead of seeing yourselves just as a citizen of the last 250 years of the America of somebody else's vision that couldn't even see your humanity, I want you to shift and see yourself as the founder, as a new founder of the next 250 years. When you think like a founder, you move differently. You don't let people take your stuff. You don't let people disempower you. You show up differently. And when the people show up, everything will shift. So we've got to understand that there's all these things around us for the young folks, the young people that are telling us that they don't want to vote, or even some of the others are frustrated. We do not need to be upset with them. We need to understand, because if we're being honest, we've all felt that way. But I'm not asking people, Joy, to believe in this crooked system. I'm asking Black folks to believe in their own power and to use every single tool of power to resist. You can't come in my house and take my stuff and there's no consequence. You cannot come and attack our communities, create legislation and policy that will literally take food out of our babies' mouths, and there's no consequence. We got to come for you. And that means we've got to show up in record numbers this midterm election. We've got to we should be challenging every level of power in this country right now. But we can't just do that. We can't just do that. We're going to have to also think and dream about what is next. What are the systems that we're thinking? And is it possible? Absolutely. If America got the audacity to sit here and talk about what their dreamers came up with 250 years ago, certainly I don't think they're smarter than us, Joy.
Clearly not. I mean, they show they're not smarter than us with what's going on in the Capitol versus what's going on in New Orleans. They can't even plan a fair. It's not.
They can't even have a good party. They can't even have a good party. Like now, when you get, that's my point. So everything is propaganda. But right now, I think it's really important. And I brought up that sister that 100 years. It's really important that whatever was in our people to make them survive, that same thing that was in Harriet Tubman that would make a sister that with a $50,000 bounty on her head continue to go forward. The same thing that would make somebody named Frederick Douglass, who had been born in slavery and wound up advising the president, wind up taking on the federal, the Freedmen's Bureau. You some kind of brother, there's something in you for you to do that. I'm saying that because that's the kind of spirit that we've got to operate now. This ain't the moment for cynicism, because cynicism is not a strategy. Just being cynical, that's cute, but that ain't no strategy, because at the end of the day, when you don't participate, when you don't really use your power, somebody else leverages that against you and your community. That's the truth. So whether you actually vote or not, you're voting. When you don't vote, you actually are increasing the weight of the other side, of the people who actually are seeking every single day to take food out of your mouth, to take stuff, make the gas go up, have a war that they'll send your children when their own children won't fight, would send and kill your children. So this is a reset moment for us. I want us, all the Black folks that are listening to this, I want y'all and everybody, all the righteous people, because this ain't just, the beautiful thing about Black organizing is we are creative enough that we've always had enough space and a room, like we create, like we see the beauty of humanity, that ultimately that we don't see, like white supremacists believe that they should just have a country by themselves. I really wish they come up with I wish they moved to Mars. Like they want to explore Mars. Go
Please
there.
go.
Please go. Take all your stuff. Take the gilded gold decorations. Have at it. Have fun. Bye. Matter of fact, can the government subsidize them going there? I'm actually in favor of that. But
I would pay my taxes. I would actually pay more. I would pay that tax.
But people who have a sense of humanity, who are righteous, it doesn't matter whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you are conservative or liberal, whatever you call yourself on the spectrum, at the very core, if you believe in the power of humanity, then this is your moment. This is our moment. That's what we need. We're so far beyond this fake kind of political thing around, if you take this position and you must take this position. No, the right position is, how are we in this moment going to take, my grandmother said, take lemon and make lemonade. How are we going to take this moment and actually institute the vision that we have for this nation going forward?
That is a mic drop. That is a mic drop. Let me go ahead and let the mic drop. Bling. Latasha Brown, you come out here and preach every single time in the blackest bus in America. I need to go back over there and see this I need to see this activation.
You got to come on over here, because you see what I love is we got us, because we want to send this message that we got us, y'all. Like, this isn't a moment to be scared, but this isn't a moment that you can just sit down. This is a moment that every one of us got to use a multiplying effect. What that means is every single person has to be personally responsible for activating 10 people. It's kind of like when the Transformers assemble. Everybody just got to get your game on.
Yes.
Like, come on, we got to assemble. We got to assemble and get our game on. And we've already seen it. We've already seen record numbers in Alabama. And does resistance work? Absolutely, it works.
Yes, it does.
Ask the folks in Mississippi. The Mississippi leaders organized themselves, and what happened? In Mississippi, they were trying to create this session for the redistricting. What happened? It got canceled. When 6,000 people showed up, right, and were organized and saying, we ain't going nowhere, it got canceled.
Georgia too. Sis, Georgia, they were too scared to do it. They said, we can't do this. We're going to let Keisha Lance Bottoms. Guess what? Joke's on y'all. We're going to let Keisha Lance Bottoms anyway. So the same thing she was trying to prevent, she's still going to get in. How about that?
Right. Just because you tried us. You shouldn't have tried us. Just because you tried us, right?
You tried us and played in our face, and now we're like, oh, you want to play this game? Okay.
Listen, and I don't even believe that just in its, we've got to put things in its proper place. Voting matters. I don't care who says what. And we've had a complicated relationship with both the political parties. And that ain't no lie, right? But we also got to be sophisticated enough to not say that they're one and the same, because that's not true, and create a false equivalency, because that's not true. Because I know that there's some brothers and sisters that I know, and some good righteous white folk and other communities of color that are actually fighting for us every single day. You got to use your discernment to know that. But there should not be a meeting, a county commission meeting, a school board meeting, a city council meeting that we are not filled to the rafters. This is a moment. This is not a moment that anybody should have peace with, allowing our political power to be stripped with us being quiet or silent or either cynical.
Ooh, Lord, I'm ready to go. Where are we marching?
Let's go. Let's go.
Give me I need that shirt. I need to get a t-shirt.
We got your shirt.
Okay, I'm gonna come collect my shirt. Latasha Brown, I appreciate, love you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Keep doing this, sister. Keep preaching, sis. I love it. Thank you. We are ready.
Thank you just for being this space and having this platform for us and all the people that are supporting you and listening to this. This is exactly how we're doing. We're building something new and better. God has given us a vision. We are radically reimagining every single aspect of this thing. If we ain't got no control and no say so in it, what's the point?
What's the point? We have our own platforms. Look, we are doing this like Ida B. Wells style. We don't ask for nobody's permission. We know what we need to do. We are going to use our platforms, use our power. And look, we're going to win because We too cute and we too smart to lose. That's all the bottom
Excuse
line.
me. Hello. Hey,
Yes,
Latasha,
Jason.
how are you? I don't have any lights in here today, so don't worry about it. But my question is this: Joy, make sure you bring one of those shirts home too, because
I will get
I got you.
I'm a large. Make sure it's a large. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And how you doing, Latasha? I ain't there this time, but sis, that shirt is fire, so I need one of those. Okay, I'm a.
he just wanted to make sure that I didn't forget to bring him a shirt.
Tell him we got him a shirt. We got you, Joy. So thank you so much. We're gonna continue to lift you. I think this is a moment. Pain always births possibilities, and I want people to know. So all of this pain and this BS that we're going through and experiencing right now, it's really to get us. We're really just need to get level set and realize that we've got to revisit what actually got us to the states where we got to. That part of we got to revisit that Black folks created. We built towns. We were building communities. We were building hospitals. Actually, we were creating communications. All of those things that some way along the way, right? We've actually kind of lost focus on that and just and abandoned some of the things that really were rooted in self-determination. It's that moment. It's our time.
We did it with not even a fraction of the technology, fraction of the resources. We are $1 trillion resource community collectively, and we did all that with none of that. So if we did all that with nothing, listen, what can we do with all that we have?
Can you imagine?
Listen, girl, I'm excited about what we can build. And I'll say one last thing. Before I let you go, I got a chance on the stage today at the podcast forum to talk with the trade ambassador from South Africa. And we talked about the fact that when those Black people got free, they didn't just take the Constitution and accept it. They rewrote it. They rewrote the damn Constitution.
They rewrote the Constitution. We need to understand that all of these freedoms that America likes to brag on, that's because of us. Like literally, when you're thinking about like protected classes, that is because of us. The 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment, the civil rights laws, when we're talking about women, that's because of us. And so because ultimately, I do believe that people who have been like in the fire, we've had to walk through hell, right? The fact that we've had to walk through hell these last 250 years, and not only are we not gone anywhere, right? But we are literally in a moment that I do think the reframe for the next 250.
Yes.
What is your vision? What is your vision for the America that we desire and we deserve? Every single person should be asking themselves that question. What is my vision for the America that I desire and that I deserve? And then we fight like hell and organize to get there.
Amen. Amen. All right. BlackVotersMatterFund.org. The shirts are online. People really
the shirts are online. Okay. If you're in New Orleans, come on down to Essence. Come to the Black Voters Matter activation. We got you.
We got you. All right, Latasha, man, I'll see you later, sis. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Look, I love my friends so much. I just absolutely love. They are amazing. These are the most amazing human beings on earth, and they're going to come through. And I will tell you, I'm going to reiterate. We spoke with this gentleman who is the very young. He is the trade ambassador from South Africa, who's here at Essence because he wants to talk about all of the exports from South Africa that can be included in the Black American and in the broader American economy. And no, not just that show that all of us are watching. And I did ask him about it, The Polygamist, because baby, that show is crazy. But also cinema. South African cinema is huge now. It's growing around the world. We talked about that. But the reality is, yes, South Africa just rewrote the Constitution. When they got out of apartheid, which they only got out of in the 1990s, 1994, they finally had the release of Nelson Mandela. It's in the 90s, not the 60s. We got our technical freedom and the enforcement of 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments in 64 and 65. They got it 30 years later. We're talking about in the mid 1990s before the Black folks in that country, where they are 80% of the population, got their freedom. And when they got their freedom, they didn't just elect Nelson Mandela and make him president of the country and the African National Congress, which is still the ruling party in the country. They rewrote the Constitution. They were like, this Constitution was written for white power, not for us. And so we're going to rewrite a multiracial Constitution in which every South African is truly equal. We need to, even if we don't physically rewrite the Constitution we need to reimagine it. We need to rethink it. As Latasha said, we need to reimagine the country we deserve. Brittany Packnett Cunningham, we're going to post all this tomorrow, but she said when we were talking that there are like three versions of America. There's the America that kind of is and that we're kind of living with. There's the kind of America that we hope it will be. And it's sort of a gauzy kind of reality of what we want. And then there's this sort of unrealistic third option that we just don't even allow ourselves to think about. Like, we need to get to option number 3. We need to not be lost in the idea that we can't change this country. We just need to forcibly change it. We need to make it into something we can't even imagine. That right now we can't even imagine what the possibilities are. We need to think so big that even if we get halfway there, we have made fundamental change. That is all Mamdani is doing. He's saying, I have a radical change in mind. I'm going to do these radical changes. And you know what's radical? Making life affordable in New York City. It's so unaffordable in New York City that I'm going to make this radical idea. Sounds crazy, but we're going to make it so you can afford rent here without having 10 roommates. We're going to make it so that you can afford food here without going broke. We're going to make it so that you can afford to move here. If you have a dream of being, on Broadway, or you have a dream of being a musician and New York is where you want to be, you can actually come here and be able to survive. We're going to make it so that if people are unhoused, that they don't die in the street. They've literally got vans driving around New York City that are cooling vans so that people who are unhoused could go into the van to cool down. That is the kind of servant leadership that we should expect from a politician. This should be the minimum. He's literally doing it. He's saying, if you're going to live here and have 2, 3, 4 homes, each of them $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, you should pay more taxes so that regular people can afford to live here too. He slapped that millionaire tax on those rich people, and you thought they were going to leave, baby. They stand right there and paying, and they have closed the budget deficit. They have closed the budget deficit. This should not be radical, but he's saying, look, if you think that's radical, okay, that's fine. You can say that's radical, but I'm going to keep doing it. We have the gentleman who's running in Michigan. I'm going to find his name. That people are also saying is like a crazy, crazy radical. And people are saying that he's radical because he's promising free healthcare, or he's promising access to healthcare. And it's Saeed. I'm going to find it. I had his name yesterday. We played it yesterday. And AOC has just actually endorsed him. His name is Abdul El Sayed. I want to make sure I got his name right. He's saying, yeah, if you think it's radical to say that Michigan will have no one go without health care and die because of a lack of health care, he's like, you can call that radical if you want. If you think it's radical to have a senator who says that I will not pay for bombs to kill Palestinian children, I want to recoup that money and use it to pay for preschool for Michigan kids, and I want to make sure that women don't die of sepsis because they can't get a DNC. If you think that's radical, he's like, you can call me radical all you want to, but I'm still going to do it. Abdul El Sayed. And so the reality is, we have to have our politicians meet that radical minimum, because right now what we're doing is we're saying that everyone has to be quiet, get along, don't be too loud, don't be too radical, don't be too don't ask for too much, just ask for the minimum. Let's do moderate change, modest change. We'll change it a little. We're still going to be the greatest military empire on the face of the earth, and we'll still be an empire. We'll still do that, but we'll just make it a little bit softer. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous that in our greatest cities, somebody, Coco Burnett saying San Francisco, ridiculous. Yeah, very expensive. Wouldn't it be radical and kind of maybe the kind of radicalism we want for a San Francisco mayor to come along and say, I'm going to make it so that more than just millionaires can live in San Francisco, that people who work in San Francisco can afford to live here. Oh, people talking about Joe Madison, the Black Eagle. God bless his memory. But the reality is, we're asking too little from our politicians. We're at this point, we're just asking them to be a Democrat. As long as you're not a MAGA Republican, that's enough for us. That's not enough. It's not nearly enough. And so we have to start asking for these quote unquote radical minimums. And to me, the radical minimum is, we live in the richest country on earth, but the riches are not being shared by everyone. People aren't rich across the board. We're not the richest country because everyone is doing well. We're a very rich country where people are being kept artificially poor. People are being kept artificially poor because the people who are very rich want to hoard their wealth for themselves and not pay taxes, just like the people who founded the country, who were getting radically wealthy off of slavery, didn't want to pay taxes to the crown. They wanted the slaves. They wanted the moral high ground of saying that they were for freedom and that they've written this constitution that was about individual personal liberty. They wanted the praise for doing that. They wanted to be seen as good Christian men and as radical fighters for liberty, but they also wanted slavery. They wanted to have slaves, but they wanted to also believe and have people believe that they were fighting for liberty. It's just too much. But the radical minimums that we're asking for are access to healthcare in this rich country, where you don't have to go broke because you were feeling ill and you needed to go to the ER. That should not break you financially. That is not crazy. That is, to me, okay, if it's radical, it's a radical minimum. I think the radical minimum should be, if you want to go to college, you have a dream of getting a college degree, that should not mean that you're paying for that college degree until you're 80. It should not mean that well into your retirement age, you're still paying off your student loans. You want to become a doctor. It shouldn't be that you have to literally bankrupt yourself for the rest of your life so that you're paying back the loans from becoming a doctor until you're a retired doctor. That is not crazy. If that's radical, then make that a radical minimum. That you should be able to go to college. And it used to be that way. Before the Reagan administration, most colleges were free. Did you know that? Because college was considered a national investment in young people. And so you could just go to college. What they wanted, though, is to not have everybody get a college degree. Because what was happening is the kind of people who were getting degrees were coming out of that experience, having met people from all over the world and all over the country who were different. And they came out in the view of right-wingers as too liberal. They came out wanting too many people to have shit. So they're like, we gotta make this for rich people only. This has to be only the wealthy and the elite. And they start slapping those fees on, and they keep going higher and higher and higher, because the idea is they only want the elite to go to college, because then they think they can make sure that they keep them concentrated and keep their views concentrated, so they never want radical things like equality. They don't want radical things like women having equality with men and getting paid the same for doing the same job. Just radical shit. And so they're calling things radical because what they're doing is radical. It used to be that radical used to mean radical Republican, meaning you really wanted to end slavery and you seriously wanted it to be over. You wanted slavery to end immediately. That was radical Republicanism. And then all of a sudden, things changed, where suddenly the things that are considered radical is not abolition. It's wanting people to have health care without going bankrupt. It's wanting people to go to college without going bankrupt. It's wanting people to be able to live in New York City without having to live in a hovel or have 18 roommates or have their parents have to pay their rent. Like, just the idea of a young person being able to thrive in the country and be able to have a job that maybe doesn't pay a lot, or take an internship that doesn't pay a lot, because you can afford your rent at an intern salary. If that's radical, then make that my radical minimum. And yes, the idea that Black people should be able to apply for and get a job and not be turned away simply because of their race. And so we'll create something called diversity, equity, inclusion, so that we'll at least try to recruit some non-white people, recruit some brown and Black people, recruit some women, recruit some disabled people, recruit some military veterans. That was considered too radical. That has to go. But you don't think it's too radical to put people in prison for 30 to 100 years for doing a noise protest? You don't think it's radical you don't think it's radical to say that people shouldn't be kidnapped off the street and thrown into a gray van because they are committing the civil crime of being in the country without documents? Donald Trump committed the civil offense of, well, it wasn't really a civil offense, of defamation against E. Jean Carroll, having committed what should have been a criminal offense of sexually abusing her. And he only went to a civil trial for that. So he got fewer consequences because he has not paid a dime of the restitution that he owes her than you want to have to a person who just is in the country without documents. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So those are the kind of things that we're thinking of as radical reimaginings. And we do need a radical reimagining of the country. Fox won't like it, but I actually think it is the minimum that we should be asking for. Not just here, but around the world. Let's thank one of our additional sponsors who we absolutely love, and they are super important, and that is MSI United States. Jason, whenever you have it, you can roll it.
Our sponsor, MSI Reproductive Choices, wants you to know that every year across sub-Saharan Africa, roughly 4 million girls are pushed out of school because of unplanned pregnancies. Not because they aren't smart enough, not because they don't want an education, but because government refused to make birth control available. 4 million girls with a future they didn't choose for lack of something that costs less than a cup of coffee. MSI works with governments to change that. They advocate for changes to laws and policies. They train public health providers on different birth control methods like IUDs and arm implants. They climb mountains and wade through rivers to get to women who don't have any other way to get contraception. Birth control is one of the most powerful equality tools in the world. And for just $30, you can provide 6 girls with contraception for a full year. Make that $30 every month, and you will help 72 girls over the course of a year. To learn more or support MSI's work, go to msiunitedstates.org. That's M for modern, S for safe, I for informed, msiunitedstates.org. Or just text my last name, Reid, that's REID, to 511-511. Text REID to 511-511. Go to msiunitedstates.org to start changing lives. Text REID to 511-511. Check them out. It's an impressive organization doing great work. Text REID to 511-511 or visit msiunitedstates.org today. Text fees may apply.
So you're seeing this real sort of panic on the right over the Supreme Court decision to kind of barely, and we talked about this the other day, barely allow for birthright citizenship to continue to be the law of the land. And their panic has to do with an ongoing fear of the shift in the ethnic demographics of the country. And when you watch Fox, if you watch any Fox at all, or you watch a lot of right-wing media, you'll see a few things in common of the way that they speak about immigration. And they are definitely terrified of immigrants and of immigration, of non-white immigration. Because what they believe is that adding additional people who they call people of the third world, meaning non-white people from the global south, they believe will dilute the culture of the United States, which I'm not sure what they mean by the culture of the United States, because I don't know what they mean is the culture of the United States. If the culture of the United States is what we're seeing at the Great American State Fair, then America has no culture, because that is a sad, pathetic, a bland potato sandwich. It literally has no spice to it. It's so bland. If that is what they think is American culture, you don't have to worry about the foreigners ruining it. It's already ruined. But they believe that whatever they view as the culture of the United States is being destroyed by all of these people who come to the country, continue to, wave their own flags and care about their own sort of foods and their own sort of cultural norms and speak their own language and do, have communities that continue to be unique in the flavor of the community that is not a sort of, maybe sort of white framing and all of that. They're bothered by that. And they also believe that these people who are coming to the country from other countries are bringing values that are not necessarily they're not necessarily loving capitalism, not necessarily promoting capitalism or Christianity. They may be a Muslim or they may be a Hindu or et cetera. And so they're very fearful of that. They feel that America is going to be degraded by that and turned into something that they cannot recognize. And they're very fearful of it. And I think you should take seriously the fear that the right has over these things. Because they're definitely fearful of these things happening. What's very interesting about that fear is that the things they fear the most are really in many ways of their own creation. And what I mean by that is that it is not Black people who created a system of even Black poverty. Like that was created deliberately by the planter class who couldn't get over the fact that they no longer were able to have slaves. And once the slaves were taken away from them, they made a choice in the southern states that they would rather their state be dirt poor than give the formerly enslaved a financial leg up. Now, they could have made a different choice. They could have said, we enslaved all of you, but now what we're going to do is we're going to restore you to humanity. We're going to give you the 40 acres and a mule that you were promised. We're going to allow your prosperity to lift the prosperity of our states. We'll make our whole state rich by making sure that you're also well off. We will make sure that the formerly enslaved have a home to live in, have a job that pays them decent wages. We'll make amends to you by trying to make it so that you can thrive. And when you thrive, you're going to have the money to come to our store and buy our products. You're going to have the money to hire maybe some of our young children, our kids, as they grow older, they need a job. Maybe your little store will be able to hire them. And we'll just sort of thrive together. We are bad. We did a bad thing, but we want to restore our soul. And so we'll restore you too, and then we'll all be rich. If they had done that, Mississippi would probably still be the richest state in the union, because it was. But instead, they made an affirmative choice in Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas to say, nope, you formerly enslaved. We're going to legislate you into permanent poverty. We're going to make sure you're never able to buy a home, when you're never able to be as affluent as us. We'll never allow you to get up off the economic mat. We're going to keep you poor because we're mad about it. We're mad that you're not our slaves anymore. We hate that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to enforce you having to still treat us like you're still a slave. We'll still enforce that you can't look us in the eye or we'll kill you. That you can't talk to, that your young son cannot talk to our white daughter or we'll lynch you. We're going to enforce that you have to essentially still remain in a sort of servile condition. And if you don't behave in a servile way, we'll kill you. We're still mad about it. We hate you so much that we won't let you eat in our restaurants, even if you could pay. We'd rather lose the money that you could give us to eat in our restaurant. We'd rather lose out on the money so you can't eat here. We'll make it so you're forced to make your own restaurant in your neighborhood and they get the money. So they literally, so the things they're mad about. And then they say, when we won't let you live in a nice neighborhood where we are, you have to live over there. We won't give you building materials, so your house has to be a ramshackle. And then we go, look at how they live. You can't go to our churches where you could tithe. We'd rather you not tithe in our church. So we'd rather you build your own churches and you tithe over there. So then you have a black church where we're tithing, and then you have a white church where they're tithing, and the white church can't get the black church's money, the black parishioners' money, because we're like, we hate you so much. You see how racism doesn't make any sense? You're making an opportunity cost. You're saying we'd rather be poor. The way Wajahat Ali describes it is, we have a mansion, and we have a giant mansion, and we could just give you one room, and we gave you this one room in the mansion, or we have a giant complex. You can have your mansion way over there, my mansion's over here. You won't even really see each other, but we'll just let you build your mansion over there so that we can all have mansions and be happy. But instead, they'd rather burn the entire complex down so that they can't. So the enforced poverty in places like Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, they're enforcing poverty. They're forcing poverty on Black people because they're mad at Black people for not being slaves anymore. And then they're doubly mad because when Black people are not slaves anymore, they have the nerve to build Black Wall Street, to build a nice neighborhood where you're thriving, you're spending your money there, all your money's staying in the community, and we can't get any of your money, so we're going to burn your neighborhood to the ground. So you can't win either way. We don't want you in our community, but if you build your own community, we'll burn it to the ground. And so you've created the problem that you then later complain about. Look at how they live. They live in the hood. But you said they could only live there. You said they have to live there. So even if they're a doctor, they're not allowed to live where you live. They have to live over there. And then you're like, we're so mad that you're still here. We're not going to give you any services. We're not going to pick up the trash in your neighborhood. And then we go, look at how they live. Look at the trash. So you're literally creating the problem that you claim is a problem that you then have a problem with. We'll talk about immigrants the same way. You're saying we don't want, quote unquote, illegals. We don't want people coming in the country illegally. But we're also not going to create a system where people can actually come over legally. But we still need the workers. So we have all these farms that need people to pick lettuce and tomatoes and oranges and pick stuff. But we refused to pass a law that will allow people to live in Mexico, come across, pick food in Texas, and then go home to Mexico. We won't pass that law. Nor will we pass a law that will allow you to come over and in a reasonable amount of time be able to vote and make decisions about the community where you live. We won't let you do it. We're going to say no to making any such law. We're going to make it as hard as possible for you to come over here and pick these crops, but we still need the crops picked. So we induce you to come over illegally. And then we go, oh my God, look at the illegals. Oh my God, how dare they come over here? But you're drawing them here because you need the people to pick the crops. You need people to work in the restaurants. You need people to work in the plants where you're picking apart chicken bones and stuff. You need them, but you're like, I'm going to make it as hard as possible for you to do that, because I can't stand the idea that you'll come here, thrive, be happy, and have a house as nice as mine. It bothers me so much that you might come over here, work, thrive, and then live near me in a house as nice as mine and be happy. The thing that makes them the angriest is a Black person thriving, doing well, and then moving next door and having a nicer house than them. They're like, I'd rather burn this whole neighborhood to the ground rather than let you thrive and contribute to the economy that would make me rich. And so the reality is, you're saying to each other, MAGA, right wing, and this has always been what conservatives have done. It used to be conservative Democrats that used to do this bullshit. The conservative Democrats ruined the South because after enslavement, they could have literally made the South stay rich by saying to enslaved people, let's now be partners in this democracy. They did it for 12 years. And the Black people came along and they said, okay, white people in South Carolina, your kids don't go to school any more than mine do. Your kids are illiterate. Why don't we have public schools where your kids can go? They were like, all right, fine, we'll have public schools, but you can't go to the ones we go to. We'll take the public schools that you recommended, Black Reconstruction government, but you can't come to it. So you're saying we can't live in the neighborhood where we would pay property taxes to make all of our children have better school. You're creating the problem, and then you're mad about the problem. Do you see what I'm saying? None of it makes any sense. It's also illogical because it's based on racism, not logic. Hold on, let me make sure that I plug in, because my thing's going to die here. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna have to probably ask Winston to come and give me a better charger because my charger's not working now. But you see what I mean? They're literally creating the very problem that they then bitch about. The same thing goes with the LGBTQ community, right? They say, I just wish these gay people would just keep it to themselves and not say anything about it. But then you make their lives so difficult. You make it so hard for them to live that they then form their own communities and their own cultural community, and they form their own, and then their culture thrives. And then you're mad that their culture is thriving and that they're happy and joyful and doing, fashion or music or Hollywood. And then they go wherever they feel like they can fit in. You did the same thing with Jewish people. So you can't be in any other thing, but we'll let you have Hollywood. And then you're mad that all the Hollywood have all the Jewish people. Hold on. Let's see if we can get this to happen. You're making the problem that you then complain about. And then you're mad about the problem, but you created it. Same thing. Yes. Christy Blackman is pointing out Central America, South America. We're saying we need to run your government. You need to obey us and give us all the bananas for free. We do not want you can plug it over there, that if you don't let us do it, we'll just destroy your economy. We'll make the economy crap. And then when the economy is crap, you wonder why they're coming over here, because you've destroyed their economy. You destroyed their economy on purpose. And then when their economy collapses and the only way they can survive is to come here because you messed up the country. It's the same way that the British, who get mad about Black people living there and Indian people living there and Pakistanis living there, you're the one who took control of India and Pakistan and made them into a colony and said the only place there's going to be work is Great Britain. Why do you think they're there? You said this is where the jobs are. This is where the work is. You created the system, and now you're mad that the Pakistanis and the people from India are there. You are the one who brought them there. The Jamaicans are there because you're the one who owned Jamaica. Where the hell do you think they're supposed to go? You're the colony boss. Same thing with Haiti. You make Haiti into a failed state, and then you're shocked. We made it into a failed state. We confiscated their gold. We made it poor on purpose. And then we're like, oh my God, look at how they live. Why are they coming over here? Because we wrecked the country. Maybe if we shouldn't have wrecked the country, maybe if we didn't wreck the country, they'd stay there. Anyway, let's talk about the idea of a little bit more. We're talking about power and how to use it and how to use it effectively. But, I will say to MAGA, you all haven't really been that smart about using power either, because you all keep making problems that you then complain about the results of, but you did it to yourselves. All the things you're mad about, you did it to yourself. Joining me now is somebody that I shared the stage with earlier today. He's been so kind to come back and chat about our conversation we had earlier. People are mentioning Iran as well. The book that he has written is really fantastic. We can't wait till it comes out. We're already getting lots and lots of previews, including we did today at the Global Black Economic Forum, and that is Rashad Robinson. Formerly, people knew him from of color of change, but now people are going to know him for the book From Presence to Power: How to Take on the Fights That Matter and Win. That is what he's going to be known from going forward. Hey, Rashad.
Hey, friends. Good to be with you again.
Again, I know we're just hanging out
Yes.
today. So, just
Yes.
very quickly, I just wanted to ask you what you make of. We're having this conversation. We started off with Latasha, about the way that we need to rethink our relationship to power, particularly as Black people, not just Black people, just as people who care about humanity. What do you think? How should we rethink it?
So, I wrote this book really after this moment that I had back in 2016, right after Donald Trump won the election. And I went to the White House with a lot of other people. The Obama administration was doing this sort of event where they were basically celebrating all the victories of the criminal justice movement. And they invited donors and advocates and a lot of leaders. Many of our favorites were sort of in the room who had done so much work locally and nationally. And they were talking about some of the things that were sort of a success. And I was starting to feel uneasy in my stomach because at this point, we knew that Jeff Sessions was about to become, head of the DOJ. We knew that there was this open Supreme Court seat that had not been filled by Merrick Garland and would be filled by now whoever Donald Trump wanted to put in place. We knew all these things were happening. And so the last question comes up and I raise my hand, and normally they would not come to me because I was one of those sort of troublemakers. I was sometimes out, I would get invited every once in a while inside, Joy, but lots of times I'd be outside with petitions demanding more because we always need a left flank. We always need people pushing to create space for our leaders, even if we like them. And one of the things that I said was, hey, I really appreciate all of these victories. We were part of some of them. But what should we be doing now? Because what are the marching orders now? Because we understand that these things are under attack. And Loretta Lynch, who was on stage at the time, said to us, who was the Attorney General at the time, said, the things have changed. These victories are solid. I actually had to go back to the video, Joy, of that moment. And it was in that moment that I was like, oh my God, this is magical thinking. Normally the mic didn't really come to me, but there were the kids who were passing around the mic at the time. They needed jobs now. The Obama administration was going away, and some of them needed jobs. And as the head of Color of Change, I had some jobs at that time. And so it was one of those moments where I was just outraged by we needed marching orders, and I recognized that those in power were not going to be able to give them to us. And we needed a new framework for how to deal with what was in front of us. And Latasha is absolutely right that we're not going to go backwards. We can only go forward. I hear her talking about that a lot. And I wrote this book for all of us that are tired of losing and want to win more. And, I put the losses in as well as the victories and campaigns for the last 20 years, but really dissecting how we move from mistaking presence and visibility and awareness and our successes for actually power. And power is the ability to change the rules, to force things to happen that wouldn't otherwise happen, to be consequential in spaces, to be considered in spaces, to be in negotiation, not just in dialogue. And that is in so many ways what is needed in this moment and what is required for all of us.
And the thing about it is, I think it is the answer to, I was saying to Tasha earlier that I spoke to a young man who was like, how do I get my peers to care? And I said to him, I don't think it's on you. I think it's on us to give you a reason to care, right? Mm-hmm. But I think one reason to care is that you can actually use your voice and your vote to exercise power. And I mean, Mamdani to me shows that 100%.
Yeah.
People who wanted very specific things voted for him. They like his smile, but that's not why they voted for him. They like his style and his commercials, not why they voted for him. They wanted shit to be cheaper. And suddenly shit is getting cheaper. They wanted really specific things from politics, and they're getting it.
Joy, he tells a full story about why things are not happening, who's standing in the way of change, and directs people's energy towards those places. And far too often, our leaders want us to think it's about the Democrats want to think about it's about the Republicans, right? And it's just the Republicans, not the enabling forces, right? Because they're still hoping to maybe get money from those same corporations. And so when I write about profiteering, I really sort of dig into the forces that we have to take on, because if it's just about the right wing, if it's just about MAGA, and not all of those that are very happy MAGAs around because they're going to play hear no evil, speak no evil, and see no evil while they reap all the rewards, all the benefits, and that sort of environment that they've created, we're not going to disrupt it by just going after Donald Trump, by just going after MAGA. We are going to disrupt it by forcing many more folks to have consequences. And that takes a different type of campaigning. And what Mamdani has done, and with so many others of these sort of up-and-coming folks, whether you like them or you don't, they are telling a fuller story about why change is not happening. They are placing blame in very clear places that people can understand. And if we don't do that, what happens is our opponents fill it in with immigrants and trans kids. And that, I think, is in so much also is like what I talk about, both in this book, but also, as you know, Joy, which has been part of my campaigning for the last 20 years. It has been giving people real ways to engage, real campaigns that are targeted to say, we understand this is happening. We understand who's doing it, but let's also pivot to all of those forces that are making these platforms, sustainable, keeping it alive, right? It's not like you just don't go after Glenn Beck. You go after the corporations that are keeping him on the air. You just don't sort of go after the American Legislative Exchange Council. You disrupt their funding structure to make it harder for them to do work. And we've got to be thinking about it in this way, because MAGA and Donald Trump don't exist if there's not a whole set of other forces that are keeping them alive and allowing them to survive, because they are more afraid of them than they are of us. And we've got to change that.
Okay, so this is an uncomfortable kind of conversation that to have, I think, with a lot of, at least of our Black folks, my friend, because some of what we're doing is we're actually in some ways funding our own oppression by supporting not directly, but indirectly supporting people who are hurting us. And I bring up the Ellisons. The Ellisons are one of the most pernicious forces in American life, period. They are seizing control of media one by one to break them, to take away the truth out of the news, to take away the ability for TikTok to show you genocide, to make sure that Israel never gets the truth told about it anywhere, ever. They've destroyed CBS. They're going to keep destroying everything until they get through CNN. They're going to Nickelodeon, you name it, everything they've got. The other day, I was watching the BET Awards because I had missed the original broadcast and I wanted to see the Lauryn Hill tribute because I love Lauryn Hill. I watched it, and all throughout it, every minute was another ad from Paramount Plus.
Yep.
Showing you Black content with Black actors, Black directors, Black stories. And it couldn't get out of my mind that these are people who've shown no interest in Black people's betterment. And in fact, they want the opposite based on what I've seen from them, and Black and brown people. And then it reminded me in that moment that, oh, these people also own BET. Black entertainment television is owned by Larry and David Ellison. It bothers me a lot that so many of our people are going to, without a second thought, continue to support these Black shows and BET when it is not owned by us. It's owned by the bad guys. So is Tubi. Hate to break it to y'all. That's Fox. That's Rupert Murdoch, who on his news channel is saying every day that Black people are criminals, that Black people are welfare cheats, that Black people maybe need to get deported even if they're African Americans. Literally, the same man who's saying that on one side is saying, hey, Negroes, take this little Tubi entertainment and take it into, and we're like, okay, thank you. It's a problem for me. Your thoughts?
as long as we allow them to come for our money by day and try to make us invisible, try to destroy our progress by night, we are not going to move forward. And that, I think, is in essence, I think, one of the challenges we face, right? Because and this requires strategy, right? We're not going to take every entity that is harming us out tomorrow overnight, but if we don't pick some targets, and if we don't actually create some consequences, Joy, I'm 5'3", so my dad used to always have me. You're gonna go out on my dad's short too, as you know, and you're gonna go out.
You guys, they're twins, by the way. You and your dad are twins, but go on.
But yes, yeah. I mean, twins. He's got a lot of years on me, but he likes to hear that to make him feel younger. But I say all that to say, he would tell me sometimes, like, you might get picked on, but you at some point have to show that you can fight back. You may have to pick one of the, you're not going to pick everybody, but you may pick one person, and you may not win every battle, but you might show that, it's not worth it to fight with you, that they're going to leave a little bruised up. And it was sort of one of the spirits I brought to the campaigning over the last, several decades, is taking on fights that I may not win everyone, but in that battle, they may not do it again. They're going to think twice. You're going to change the floor of what's acceptable and push up the ceiling on what's possible. And a lot of what's happening in terms of our relationship with corporations is they know they can keep lowering the floor and even lowering the amount of money they give us. And that we're just so happy to be at the party that there is no sort of floor that is too low. And, even on the panel today that I moderated, I asked about APAC, and I asked about corporations, and I asked about, like, how much money, is there money that you would return? Is there money that we wouldn't actually take? Because I ask that question all the time, because I think we are in this moment. We have to start, yes, we have to hopefully pass legislation, but we also have to figure out, how do we start sending a message to those institutions? And that, I think, is the moment that we are in. It's in some ways why I wrote this book, about not mistaking presence for power, about taking on profiteers. I wrote a whole section in the book about perception. And the thing about perception is that who gets to create the sort of understanding of the problem gets to define what the solutions are. And far too often, folks define our problems as unfortunate, almost like a car accident, like they sort of just happen. And when you define issues that we are facing as unfortunate rather than unjust, we get charitable solutions to structural problems. People send water bottles when pipes are not clean, instead of actually dealing with the structural reasons why the water is not clean and all the things that need to change. When they see problems in schools, they'll say, let's have after-school programs, instead of actually dealing with the fundamentals in those education institutions. And so when we define these, and so we have a lot. And so as I think about the problems ahead and I define the problems, corporate power anywhere is a threat to racial justice everywhere. And as long as there is deep levels of profiteering and corporate power, we are going to have a real problem moving forward. There has not been a moment in time where that hasn't been untrue for us in this country. And as long as we can look at the sort of rise of corporate power, it goes hand in hand with the challenges that we face. And, as someone who led an organization that did not take corporate money, I watched in 2020 as these big corporations were making all these announcements every day saying, hey, we're giving you a check. I remember Wells Fargo making a big announcement they were giving a check. And I was like, I have an active campaign against you, Wells Fargo. You literally stole Black people's homes. And now you're like, oh, well, we've got a check for you. And I'm like, you don't have a check for me. You have a check. Hopefully you have a check to give back all those people their homes. But many other folks did take those checks, Joy.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. And then they got commercials and they got, and they're never going to give us enough money to actually be strong enough to fight them. They're going to give us just enough money so they don't have to fight us.
That's
That
right.
is the strategy. You're going to give it just enough money so we're fat enough and slow enough and tired enough and
Come on.
happy enough where we just want to be at the party and
That's
in the
right.
relationship.
That's
And,
right.
I am so grateful for what you have done and what Don is doing and what so many folks are doing in terms of building independent channels and media outlets, because we saw what was happening with corporate media and how they were stifling a voice, because once again, as we're watching, corporate media is being bought up by big tech, right?
Yes.
And it's not a mistake. Like, this is not some sort of like, oh, this sort of just happened, right? The technology that can bring us into the future is dragging us into the past. And the technology, whether it is social media platforms or big tech, what we are watching with these platforms is that just as people are starting to turn against these entities in deep ways, now they're buying up Hollywood and they're buying up entertainment media, because what they want to do is control the conversation. And so the invitation for all of us is that we've got to get organized in a new way. And yes, we have to continue to maybe direct our marches at the Capitol Hills of the world, whether they be in our states or whether they be in the federal government. But we also have to direct our energy and our marches to the corporations that are every single day profiting off of injustice, are every day standing in the way of our progress, and are making money every single time some sort of legislation or some sort of decision from the courts makes it harder for us to be able to move forward.
The book is From Presence to Power. Listen, y'all, this is going to be our handbook, our textbook. This is going to be our workbook as we fight our way through this next revolution to make sure that fairness and equality prevail. Rashad,
And
I
it's
appreciate you.
available. It's available everywhere on pre-order right now. It comes.
It's on pre-order, y'all.
It's on pre-order,
including
so
here.
You can go right now and you can get it on pre-order. And the great thing about it is, if you go to frompresencetopower.org, you can also follow the events I'll be having starting July 27th. And July 28th, I will be in person with you, Joy, in DC at Politics and Prose. So I hope people come out and see us. They come out and see me and Jane Fonda in New York, if you're in New York. And I'll be in a lot of other cities, a city near you, and hopefully you invite me. But from Presence to Power, .org, from presence to power.com. You can get it from all the From Presence to Powers. Please join us. But I thank you, Joy, for uplifting this. This book hopefully is for all of us that want to win more and are tired of losing. It's a handbook. It has exercises and tools, and it is for us who want to win.
I love it. I might sneak into that Jane Fonda event. I love me some Jane Fonda and love me some you.
She loves you too. She loves you.
I'll be in the back like, hey, I'm just here. I love you.
it.
Thank you, Rashad. Appreciate you. And yes, you guys, I'm going to make sure that we put all the info about where to come and see Rashad and me. Okay, we have one more guest who's actually a surprise to me. I'm very excited about it. But before we do that, let's very quickly get our last sponsor, who is MSI United States.
Joy Reid Show is brought to you by our friends at 120 Life. So why does July matter? Well, summer has begun, schedules change, travel picks up, cookouts, long weekends, family events. Life gets busy, let's face it. And for a lot of folks, those health routines start to slip. But high blood pressure does not take the summer off. It takes no vacations. And blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality. That's why July is a perfect time to stop guessing and start measuring. Before summer gets away from you, check your numbers, start a simple daily routine, and actually do something about it to change your long-term health. Try 120 Life. 120 Life is a once-a-day functional drink made with ingredients that help support healthy blood pressure. Drink it, then check your numbers. And for a lot of people, they see improvement in as little as 2 weeks. Try it for 14 days. If your numbers don't go down, you'll get a full refund. It tastes great. It's made from a blend of superfruit juices. It fits into your regular life, whether you're at home or traveling or off to a busy summer. And the powdered version, y'all, it has just 1 gram of sugar, meaning it's a smart option for those who are, also watching them sugars. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com and use my code Joy or Reid for 20% off. Try it risk-free for 2 weeks. If your blood pressure doesn't come down, you will get a full refund. Go to 120life.com and use the code Joy or the code Reid to save 20%. Don't wait till next month. There's nothing to lose except those high blood pressure numbers. Go to 120life.com and use my code Joy or Reid for For 20% off, use code JOY or REID today. These statements have not been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Thank you so much, 120 Live, for sponsoring this episode.
All right, y'all. Our last guest is, I'm going to call this our moment of joy. Joining me now is somebody who brings me joy, brings all of us joy. Candidate for Congress, state representative from the great city of Memphis, Tennessee, Representative Justin J. Pearson. Future Congressman, how are you, my brother?
I am so happy to be with you, and I am so immensely grateful to you for just being amazing and extraordinary. And I'm so glad that I had the chance to see you today in person here at Essence, where Black joy, Black power, it is all around us. And our commitment to the cause of freedom, to justice, to liberation continues to press ahead despite all the things that we are up against. And so thank you for being a part of the Black joy that I'm experiencing right here in New Orleans.
I love it. Yeah, it was a surprise. This has been a day of just seeing everybody Black. It was amazing. Every time you turn, you're like, oh my God, oh look, there's somebody else. And I turned around, I saw that fro, and I said, wait a minute, I gotta come all the way to New Orleans to see this brother. So talk about how the campaign is going. We all want to know. People ask me about you all the time, brother. How's the campaign going?
Yeah. So, everything that's happening in the state of Tennessee is wild. And fortunately, people have been paying attention, whether it be, interactions with the sergeant at arms and state troopers, the dealing with racist redistricting. Like, people are knowing what's going on. And we are in need of help, right? Particularly in the South, we have to invest our energy, our time, and our resources in order to fight back against the neo-Confederacy, is what I call it, because they are literally seeking to destroy our country from within. They are not trying to separate from the country. They're trying to use our institutions to break us. So you can, I see it there, go to votejustinj.com. Listen, volunteer, phone bank from anywhere in this country, donate $1 or $2 or $5, because I'm not taking any corporate PAC money. And to what President Robinson was saying, we need to hold these corporations accountable for what they're doing to our communities. Just like we boycotted Target, we need to boycott these institutions and these corporations that aren't paying a living wage, that aren't providing access to healthcare. This is the time for us to build our resistance and invest in Black media, to invest in Black communities, and to show our strength and our power through solidarity.
Yeah. And the thing is, we've been talking about power on this show. This has been kind of the theme of the show. And I think people forget we have so much more power than we understand that we do. I think you have shown that in the way that you've stood up to those institutional racists that you have to deal with in the State House in Tennessee. But I mean, when it comes to who we want to lead us, y'all, there's stuff you can do, specific things. Even if you're not in Tennessee, you can donate to Justin's campaign. You want to be a congressperson, do something about it. See if you can phone bank. See if you can get a friend in Memphis. Make sure that you're organizing and mobilizing people. Give people a charge of how folks who love you and support you can, you just mentioned all the ways that they can help you. But what do you need in this moment? What do you need the most?
Absolutely. This moment requires more from all of us. It requires all of us to get engaged and to be active participants, not as a way of sort of like some separation. As we look at these 250 years, we built this. We built this. It's been our blood, our sweat, our tears, our work, our advocacy to keep this country to have a semblance of democracy. And so people want us to be divided. They want us to hate on one another. They want us to hate different people within our communities, but our job is to see the beauty, to see the brilliance, and to see that we have power. And in this moment in time, y'all, it is so important that we realize we have power to run for office. We have power to elevate one another's stories. We have power to door knock, just get engaged in something, because what worries me more than anything else is that people are going to sit on the sidelines when in this moment in time, we can't afford it. They're taking away healthcare, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They got these Elon Musk, right? Bots taking over our jobs, polluting our air and our communities. And we know if you are Black, 75% of us live near toxic waste facilities. And so I think as we lift up our consciousness, it's also to realize we got to put our hands on something, right? You have to use your platform. You have to use your voice. Get those family members organized. Get auntie and uncle and cousin and sibling to show up at the polls. Here in Tennessee, obviously, July 17th through August 1st is the early voting. August 6th is the last day to vote. But I really hope in this moment, we just don't get weary in our well-doing.
Yeah, July
and that we show
17th.
up more than than we ever have before.
Yeah, so July 17th. So give us those dates again. July 17th through August 6th. That is early voting.
Say it one more time.
Yeah, Jill, give us those dates again for early voting. We want to make sure that we get those dates so everybody knows them.
Yes, for people to stay in touch with us.
Yeah, no, just the dates when people can vote in Tennessee. I'm sorry, I know it's a little bit loud. Yeah.
Absolutely. Please stay in touch, engage at Justin J. Pearson on Instagram, on social media, on all of those things. And then at votejustinj.com is where we need folks. Again, July 17th through August 1st is going to be early voting. August 6th is the last day for the primary. And then we have November. So please, please, please help now, right? Don't wait. Give one day a week to dedicate to the campaign, and we would greatly appreciate it.
Now, I don't know if you can hear me too well, Justin, but I have to say, I don't know if you know the statistics on what percentage of people voted in the New York primary for those 3 congressional candidates who won that Mamdani endorsed. Brother, it was 16.8% of people turned out. This to me was shocking. I didn't realize it could possibly be that low, but it was the right 16.8%. So it's the reality is, I think people think that you need more votes to become a member of Congress than you really do, right? If we can get turnout in your district to 25 to 30% to 40%, to me that would still be disappointing, but it's a game changer. We need every single person to vote. Talk a little bit about what people are telling you they need and what's keeping them from actually participating.
Absolutely. And look, I think in this moment in time, Joy, like part of the importance of now is that we have legacy, right? That we are building. And all of us were fortunate and privileged to be in this place and in this country because of what other folks did. Other folks marched, other folks protested, other folks stood for our rights before we ever knew who we were going to become. And this moment, that is what is required. It actually requires us to show up for the future generations of people who aren't even born yet, but who are striving, who are hopeful, and who are in need of a better future than the one we've inherited. Because I just cannot believe this white supremacist ruling and reigning that we're having from the Supreme Court to the White House to the state houses in Tennessee and Louisiana is the way that our story ends. I refuse to accept that. I refuse to accept that. And so we've got to give this moment everything we possibly can because it's not going to come twice. But this is it. And if we want to live in that better future, we've got to be able to say, here's how I contributed to it. Here's what I did to make that possible. Here's what I gave. Because a lot of people, and I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much time, but a lot of people, they celebrate the ancestors and the forebearers for how they stood up and how they marched and how they protested and how they organized. And people think, well, if I was alive in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s, I would have been one of those people. What you're doing now says what kind of person you would have been. Says everything about the kind of person you would have been then. Because this is our moment. This is our time to stand up, to fight back. This is our time to organize, to build power, to transform the country that we're living in. And so if you're not actively engaged in the struggle right now, you definitely wouldn't have been then. And it's also important to realize everybody wasn't actively engaged in the struggle then. We don't need everybody now. But to your listeners who are conscious and engaged, we have to do more. This moment requires more from each and every one of us, which is why you're listening, you're staying educated, you're staying informed, you're getting your family engaged. All of those things matter for the future that we're creating together.
State Representative Justin J. Pearson. He is at votejustinj.com. Folks have already donated from the chat. We appreciate you, Representative, and we are rooting for you, brother, and we're going to win this. Thank you for being here and surprising us with your presence. I didn't know you were coming, so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thanks for making this happen for me. Love you.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you. Love you right back, man. Look, I love my my village. Let me tell you something. We were literally we were moving, trying to get back from the Essence Fest stage and trying to make our way through traffic and just really kind of doing things on the fly. And we were like, what friends are around that can come and be a part of this and sew into this show so that you all can hear from some of the greatest people the people with the most power, the most courage, the people who are really pushing to try to change this country for the better. What a great way to
It was
bring
a good
in.
show.
Yes, this is the way we're going to bring in July
But
4th.
Joy,
Yes,
you should
sir.
you should keep it a little real. This wasn't the show we had planned for today.
That's it. This was not, and this I'm telling y'all, this was not the show we had planned for today.
Not
Look at God.
at all.
At all. Let me tell y'all something. We literally recorded.
We crammed it.
We recorded 2 different on stage events at Essence Fest, and that was going to be our show tonight. I was just going to introduce it. We were going to run the chat, and then we were going to say goodnight. And when it did not happen, we had to pivot and we had to figure it out. And I went to my village and I said, who's available? Who's around who can come through and pop in and have a conversation with our wonderful friends who are going to come in the chat, are going to be here. And look at how the village showed up.
Because you make it so easy. I mean, could you imagine somebody who didn't know how to speak or how to even know how to talk about a subject? It would have been like, is this 2 hours over yet? But we know how to do this. That's what you did on radio. You just know how to talk and, make it interesting, and we appreciate it. But this definitely was not the show we planned.
It's not. And so I want to just thank and cannot thank enough Alfonso David, who came through, Latasha Brown, the genius Latasha Brown, who I'm telling you, Fannie Lou Hamer in her era, that era had Fannie Lou Hamer. We have Latasha Brown. She is the Fannie Lou Hamer of our era. We just respect her so much. The strategist, Rashad Robinson, thank you for coming through. And of course, the great Representative Justin J. Pearson, candidate for Congress. We're going to push and make sure that he wins. And also those who are on stage with us at Essence Fest: Tiffany Cross, the gorgeous, amazing, fabulous Tiffany Cross, Brittany Packnett Cunningham, who you will see when we post, and also the wonderful trade minister from South Africa, and Rashad. They were all a part of the show we did today. So we promise you, we will get that clip turned around at some point and get that posted on the channel so you can see what we did at Essence. But I just want to thank my village for coming through. Angela Rye, who was corralling folks from the back end. She had her own event, but was literally texting folks and organizing people. So was Tiffany behind the scenes organizing people. We literally went into village mode. Sean, Nitha, Jason, Wanji, Winnie, who you saw popped in. Like, we are such an amazing team. And I'm just so thankful to all of our village, because when you need some folks to come through, baby, they come through. So our moment of joy is just to say thank you to all of our village who came through and made sure that this show popped off the way it needed to pop off on July 4th. We call it the 4th, which of course for us is Essence Fest weekend. Y'all have a beautiful night, and I will see you on Monday. Have a safe weekend. Be safe, be good, and have fun, because that's what makes them mad. And thank you also for my beat, which I do want to appreciate the sister who did my makeup, because everybody is complimenting me on my makeup. And yes, it looks really great. Hold on, I'm going to get her name. Her name is Kendall. Kendall, thank you for doing my beat. Appreciate y'all. See you Monday.
Getting back to the basics, grassroots level. Let me dig a little deeper with the shovel. Plenty can't tell the forest from the trees, and I'm hard to detect, like a black hole in the dark. Injustice anywhere, it's a threat to justice everywhere. Let me make this clear, I got a bone to pick, and I'll never fear the threat of poverty. They don't want to talk about it, they rather party, so I'm a real talk about it, for sure.